What's going on, you guys? So, this one, I just kind of like in these series is so a lot of what I've been doing is just like going back and finding like evidence and stuff of myself in various places because people had asked for it for like the last 10 years and I never provided it. Um, and when you have people trying to like erase your legacy purposefully so that they can steal it, you end up doing that a lot. And I don't want to keep doing that. And so like one of the things that I find to be more interesting here is while I'm still like digging up evidence and stuff, which I don't need because I provided enough of that. I actually found like a lot of funny, interesting stuff that I wanted to talk about. So like I just kind of went through some of the primary websites at the time, and this is like where Graal was, like when Graal was being created, it had just come out. The predominant websites were there were some guild websites, and then there was like the baddies, Bruges Core. Galen had a website called graal.goth.net. It was also on TerraWeb, like graal.terraweb.net. And he also had an alias called graal-online.com, which is not the same as Graal Online without the dash.com. So Galen had his own personal thing called graal.goth.net. And PACHUKA had his own websites, which were really freaking, I don't want to talk about them. I guess maybe the less perverted and evil websites of his were the Black Grail was tbg.cjb.net, tbg.cjb.net. I can't find archives of it, but I do remember that being, I'm pretty sure that was the address, or it was like cum.2/tbg or the Black Grail or something. I'd have to remember it in order to find it. Maybe we can try it and find that. Was it cum.2/tbg? TBG obviously being an acronym for the Black Grail. The Black. I don't know if I'll find it. Okay. Maybe I found it. Oh man, don't tell me they don't have a good archive of it. Maybe they don't have the files for it. Let's see if I can find just everything in the directory. Loading. Well, while that's loading, let's just go back here to Galen's page. So Galen had a thing where he did news a lot. These are technically out of order. They should be back here. We'll skip back to June in a second. I do have them in order here. So it goes to March of 1999, and he would post news and files and stuff that other people had created. Yeah, so it used to be graal.terraweb.net, and he also had graal.goth.net. He had like a bunch of aliases for the same thing. I'm not sure exactly the best place to find all of his files. But if you look through the old news here, so this was kind of like where the central community was at the time. And there was no other community. This was it. So like, I think it'll just be interesting to read through here and see if we find anything interesting about just stuff, just the community in general. Like I think it'd be fun at some point to keep a log of like all of the players. I do remember Gilgamesh. We can see it talking about him up here. Where was that? I just saw it a second ago. Well, wherever. Anyway. So here we go. Galen in March said, my email to Cyberjor yesterday really paid off. Here we go. Galen says, it's really not easy for me to do a new version I have to understand 1,000 lines of source code for client and server code. So this is Stephane Portha, right? So he's just talking about the server. It's still not easy to do that in 2 weeks. The new version must be finished before the end of the week. I can give you some information about what will be done. Registration system to play online and to write to the message board. New engine code that will encrypt messages, that will make NPC command cheating difficult. The game will be faster because messages will be compressed. Saved games will be uploaded at Cyberjure. If people cheat, sorry, my microphone is like literally in my face. It's hard to like see and read this at the same time. Let me move this. It's so fucking stupid. So yeah, he says saved games will be uploaded to Cyberjure. So this was, so this must have been around when they were planning to, Stephane Portha at Unixmad wanted to centralize your data. It used to be you saved your data to your computer. So here we have Unixmad making one of his first moves to try to start controlling everything. Because up till now, it was just kind of Stephane with his Java applet. He was doing like Bomberman and Tetris and Zelda and stuff like that. So he launched Graal, which was the first new game. It was Stephane's first actual title that wasn't like, that was kind of actually a real game. And so we have Unixmad here in March, now trying to take over. He had just been hosting the server at this point and trying to take credit for everything, even though he never really did much. He's just doing like server shit. So here we have him at the end here, which is really interesting. Look at this. What Unixmad says, what I need to do now is a group of players to help me do new levels. We need to do a real story and delete all easy stuff. This is Unixmad conspiring. He literally sent an email to Galen. So this is where they started this. Do you get this? Like, this is where they started their scheme. He writes to Galen. So Galen was not even a part of... Remember Galen, like, contacting his lawyer and telling them that he wanted to do a cease and desist because he was, like, a full-time employee, and he left Graal in 2001 because... he had bigger ventures, and Unixmad had been begging to have him back and wanted to, and that he had always been an employee, and that I'm a liar and he's going to sue me if I don't shut up about it. Do you see how big of a lie this is? This is why I won't stop talking about it, because he's a liar, and I know that it's true because I was around back then. Here he is contacting Cyberjure. He's not even an employee. Look at him saying, my email to Cyberjure yesterday really paid off. So he's not even an employee. He's not even working with, at this time, like he's not even working with Unixmad. He's just contacting Unixmad. He was running Graal.goth.net. So Galen is one of the biggest and earliest thieves. You guys need to understand. He was never the game master. Unixmad and Galen had schemed to take credit for everything. So they started giving titles that belong to other people to themselves instead. So like Unixmad's now taking over the server, and he's telling Galen emailed him in order to try to get into, he wanted to get power and he didn't have it. So he's contacting Cyberjure and he's saying it really paid off, and he's announcing it in March. So Galen is announcing it in March. So this idea that like Galen was the beginning of Graal, he was not. So like he's contacting him. And this was, like, I was playing at this time. This was, like, right when Graal first came out. So, like, they're getting rid of Zelda. You can see he's saying he's trying to delete all easy stuff. And what what Unixmad means by delete all easy stuff, by the way, is he means, like, anything that might be copyrighted or anything that's not low quality. And he wants other people to... He wants Galen to find players to make the game for him. What the fuck kind of theft is that shit? So Unixmad had no product. He has no skill. He has no money. He has no business. He has no business being in gaming. And he contacts Galen, and Galen wants power on the server. He wants power over players. And so Unixmad says, essentially lets Chris Sohns or Galen, he lets him know, if you can fucking rip off game developers who are playing games, if you can lure players in who are game developers and steal their levels, he wants a real story so he can get rid of the nonsense and try to sell their stuff. So this was like a scheme back in March of 1999. So like, this is where it starts to go down. Unixmad replies to Galen and says he wants to rip off players and steal their fucking levels, and he wants them to make a story so that he can take control over it and just start selling it. So this was right before PACHUKA decides to leave because Unixmad tried to rob PACHUKA. And I find it interesting that Unixmad makes a deal with Galen to steal levels from developers and stories, to steal stories and levels from developers, because he wants something to sell without paying for it or doing the work himself. He wants to rob developers, and Galen wants power over players, and he wants status. So Galen and Unixmad in March of 1999, almost April of 1999, conspire to steal from players, or developers, I should call them, that they're referring to as players. So Unixmad is this is just like sugarcoating a theft. They're forming a racket right here. You can see them forming a racket. Unixmad is just nothing but some server guy. He says, I want somebody else to make a game, and I'm going to fucking take it. And Galen says it really paid off contacting Unixmad because Unixmad's desperate. Unixmad wants to steal a game. I'll get a big title if I help him rob people. Rob people. Here we go. Golgamech. Not Gilgamesh. Golgamech. I do remember Golgamech. Actually, Golgamech made a Bomby skin. I was friends with him, I think. I don't remember that much about Golgamech, but I know little pieces about him. Because he had made a skin for my server at one point. I think it's the most popular one too. It's like the Bomby with like the spikes. But anyways, and I think I might have did some NPCs with him. And I know that he had levels obviously and stuff in like on Graal Classic at one point. But anyway, so Golgamech, that's a name you should not forget. But here we have Unixmad and Galen forming a racket together to rob game developers because neither of them are game developers. They don't want to design a game. They don't want to pay for it. They don't want to go to school for video game design. They don't want to form a business. They don't want to form a company. They don't want to form an LLC. They don't want to get funding for it. They don't want to find investors. They don't want to take out a loan to pay people to do it. They don't want employees. They don't want anything. They don't want to give credit to anybody. They don't want to work for it. They don't want to learn game design themselves. They don't want to make graphics. They don't want to make levels. They don't want to learn computer scripting and game design and coding. They don't want to learn any of that stuff. They say here, Unixmad is making a fucking deal with Galen in March of 1999 saying, if you can find people to make a game with a story, that's what I want. So Unixmad gives server access to Galen so that Galen can rob developers. You guys, this is everything I've told you has happened about it, and I haven't even read this before. Like, I was obviously around. Like, I mean, I'm in these news posts. I didn't even know I was. I was not out browsing graal.goth.net. Like, I remember I went through like Galen's website like a couple times at the time, but like I had never read I was not reading Galen's fucking news posts all the time because he never interested me. He was just like running around. I just remember him like he was really evil in the IRC servers with PACHUKA. So like my connection with him was frenemies. I did not want to be reading everything he's writing all the time. So I don't remember all this stuff. But this is everything I've said because I remember the story, and you can put the pieces together in your own mind, and knowing somebody and knowing how law and life works. And as an adult, you can look back and be like, yeah, that's what he did. He was like, Galen was just some dude with server access who was like, and him and Unixmad were conspiring to steal game titles from game developers. And they would like broadcast those fake titles so that they could steal credit for it. This is literally verifying what I've been telling you, is that Galen was never an employee. At one point, he just got server access from Unixmad, and then they just conspired to call him the game master, which basically meant he was set up to rob game developers. And they started targeting kids because they were easy targets, because kids don't understand law and they can't defend themselves. They don't have money. So they conspired to rob children who were game developers and just steal their lives from them. This is literally what I've been telling you been happening, and this just confirmed it. So anyways, that's it. Like this scheme really started, and it looks like right here in March of 1999. So let's just keep reading through here. Yeah, you can see that Galen is just like asking people to send stuff to him. And Unixmad used Galen and allowed Galen to steal a false title of Game Master if he would use his website. Because what Galen was doing was he was using. This is why they were hacking my website. You guys, do you see? This is why like Ontago Gravity, which was alive at this time. This is why they kept hacking my website. It's because Galen wanted to steal the title of game developer from everybody, and he didn't want to do anything for it. He didn't want to work for it. So like he set up a website. This is where you could send in stuff. Like you could send him messages, and then you could contact him. You could send him content through his email. He had an email contact page. And then through here, so this is his page. He would like, he would do like a message board, a chat room, and then he would like post other people's content for download. And then he would like connect guilds, and then like have like a help section. He would like award players. He would give false titles to players. And he wanted to get like Unixmad to falsely officiate that shit so that they could like start forming a racket, an actual racket. And so then he has like these archives of news posts and stuff. This is what Galen was doing at the time. And so this is like, I really like this. This is just the only thing that I've ever been able to make sense of it is Galen and PACHUKA had made a decision to take down Ontago Gravity because we were actually making stuff, whereas Galen was not. So Galen wanted to have the central control because that's the only way he could steal and lie about being the game master is because Unixmad says right here in March, if you round up enough content from other people, then you're on my team. So Galen wanted the most prestigious title in the entire game. He wanted complete control over the server. He wanted the most prestigious title. He didn't want to work for it. Galen didn't want to go to game design school. He didn't want to make games. He didn't know how to make games. He didn't have any design skills. He didn't have any graphic skills. He didn't have any character writing skills. He didn't have any story writing skills. He wasn't making NPCs. Galen had no relevance whatsoever. He wasn't making tiles. He wasn't making emojis. He had no ideas for the engine. Galen was doing nothing. The only thing Galen did was he ran Graal.goth.net and Unixmad said, I'll give you control over the fucking, they started a racket. They formed a racket. I will let you steal the title of Game Master and falsely call you the Game Master if you round up the fucking content. Because Galen was providing, people would send in their content so that other people could showcase it. Graal.goth.net was nothing more than like a gallery, a showcase. Like I remember I had sent levels into Galen once and like they ridiculed me. And they would like, this was like way before like, you know, I started making massive, like a whole game and like all kinds of impressive stuff. But other people were sending things in, and they would showcase them. And so what happened was he just formed a gallery. Galen simply controlled a gallery called graal.goth.net, where he would house, illegally even at times, files from other people. This is one of the reasons he was net busting Mandy. He was stealing content to showcase it on his website. Galen has never, ever been the game master. I just want you guys to know that. Ever. There's no such thing. Like, Galen ran graal.goth.net. Unixmad said, if you can fucking round up enough content and take other people's stories and levels, then I will, then we are a team. So Galen was this is what they did, is they falsely broadcasted these titles about themselves, where Unixmad called himself the game owner. And Galen, who was running a gallery, had used his gallery platform to broadcast to players to send in their stuff, in. And he was going to control who gets uploaded and who does not. And the goal at that time was to have stories and levels so that Unixmad at some point, it looks like he wanted to like just start trying to sell it and claim it was a game. This is why Graal Classic and all this stuff had no, like, there was no overarching story until, like, I mean, they stole my stuff because those were actually, like, written as, like, complete stuff where, like, you had to go from quest to quest to quest to quest and everything was kind of tied in together. Yeah, they fucked a lot of that stuff up because they didn't create it and they didn't understand how it worked. But, like, up to this point, everything was so just disjointed. Like, nothing made sense. Galen was just, like, stealing other people's stuff. And, like, he didn't care if they were kids. In fact, they preferred if they were kids because they couldn't defend themselves. So that's where that started. And I'm telling you, that's exactly what happened. He was never an employee, ever. And if he was, then why? Where's the point where he was hired? For one, the game wasn't making money. You're telling me that Unixmad had enough money living in Paris, one of the most expensive cities in the world, to run a server, to feed himself, to take care of himself, to pay rent, and to pay Galen, even though they had no income. Graal was not for sale at this time. Like, they had no income. So somehow Unixmad was subsidizing Stephane, which isn't true. Stephane wasn't being paid either. That's a lie. He was subsidizing Stephane, Galen, and himself while living in Paris, one of the most expensive cities in the world, paying all his rent and his car bills and all his other bills and affording, like, a living. How could that possibly be? And then Fritad ran the server at some point. He ended up joining. So you're telling me that Unixmad was paying for 4 different people. He was paying them and they were employees. And he was paying for himself. With no income. Just whatever job he had at home. If that's the case, then why didn't he just hire game developers? Why did he wait until they stole my games in 2001 to start hiring professional game developers in Paris? Why did they wait for Stephane to move to Paris? If Unixmad was rich and was subsidizing 4 different people's, like, salaries with no income, which is impossible, and he just had money somehow, why wasn't he just paying game developers? Why was he asking Galen to steal from players? So, this bullshit that Galen's claiming where he was an employee is a lie. He was just some dude running a gallery site called graal.goth.net, and he wanted to steal credit for our fucking work. He wanted Unixmad and Stephane to give him a title he could put on his fucking resume so he could move right in to the top of the corporate ladder and get high-paying jobs in America without earning them. Galen didn't earn them. He didn't do anything. He just stole those titles, and it's the first thing on his resume. Have you seen Galen's fucking resume? He's still in Colorado claiming he was the game master of Graal. And here he is in March, and Unixmad said, yeah, just steal other people's work, and we got a deal. And Galen has on his resume that he's the game master of Graal, and he claims, and he tried to contact his lawyer and threaten me, saying that I'm a liar and that he was a full-time employee. No, he wasn't. And why do you think Galen left in 2001? Because the game, once Unixmad actually had money to pay people, Galen, he didn't want Galen anymore. Galen no longer had a fucking purpose. Galen was used from March to up until the point that they had robbed my stuff to get rid of Galen. Galen had no fucking purpose, guys. What the fuck's he talking about? He had no purpose after that because Galen's not a fucking game designer or developer. So like they got rid of Galen and they replaced him with actual game developers that they were paying with the money that my games were bringing in. That's why Galen was gone. Galen was just a gallery site called graal.goth.net, and Unixmad said, hey, if you can like steal enough content from me and that'll be, then I will lie and call you a game master. I will give you that false title so you can put it on your resume, and we will form this racket where you can like get high paying jobs, and we will badmouth everybody else who we rip off. We will discredit them, and I will give you the credit, and I will host their content, and I will ban them so that they can't dispute it, and you can continue to carry a false title on your resume and you'll get high-paying jobs. That's what this was. This is a racket. Unixmad and Galen were forming a racket to rob players. So they tried to do it to PACHUKA because PACHUKA ended up leaving in a few months here. So it seems to me that Galen and Unixmad conspired to rob PACHUKA. So here we have, check this out. On 3/26, PACHUKA got pissed off at him and deleted everything he had access to. So parts of the site will be down, blah, 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 blah. So Galen and PACHUKA were like frenemies too, but they were like best buddies and like hacking and snooping behind, because we have conversation chat logs of like private chat logs of Galen and PACHUKA talking about net busting Mandy in order to get to her private work. They were stealing her work. This is why they were hacking us and stealing our work. Do you get it? Like this is what they were doing. They were hacking developers and removing our site so they could like erase the narrative. And then Galen and Unixmad were conspiring to steal credit for all of it. And then like Galen's like still, even like 20 years later, right? Galen had been like threatening me with lawyers saying, how dare you try to take credit for your stuff? You know I'm the fucking game master. You know me and Unixmad are the game owners and we're legit and you aren't. Because they're putting it on their fucking resume. It's a racket. They aren't game developers and they didn't pay for the stuff and they didn't create it and these titles don't apply to them. They are threatening the people they're robbing. This is what you do, right? Like, it's burglary. That's exactly what burglary is. You threaten the person you're robbing, you defame them, you make them look like trash, you try to tell the media and the cops that person is a liar and that you weren't stealing from them or that they took something from you and that you had the right to try to take it back. This is what they're doing. This is highway burglary. So like Unixmad or Galen is still doing it to this day. He was never the game master. They formed a racket to rob developers right here in 1999. So let's keep going through these fucking archives. Some of this stuff might not be as interesting to you guys, but this stuff needs to be documented. So here we have this here. Let's see here. I don't know what that apology is. There was a PACHUKA apology. So PACHUKA and Galen were both hacking, just so you guys know. They were both hacking. And it's interesting how they were turning people against me. So I had become the scapegoat. Like, they're like smearing me in the fucking news. There's, it's in here. You'll see like on graal.goth.net is, and here you go. Look, so you can see Galen's having like little cahoots with Spider and Chaos. So like this had been going on for a long time. And here we go. Here's Bomber with his little pedophile fucking friend. And they're all friends with fucking Spider and shit. And like they're robbing developers like myself. They're fucking hacking me and stuff. And they're claiming I'm just like this big cheater, so they need to do it. But here's the fucking funny thing, guys, right? Here's the fucking funny thing. I found this in his archives too. So Galen posts a fucking apology. And here we have Galen's apology on graal.goth.net on archive.org. He says, I, Galen, am guilty of the following: playing with memory editors, coding his own editor, using his power to get people to make levels and graphics for him, using his media ability to his advantage, which means manipulating, stealing credits, and lying and abusing and destroying other people, and anything else he can't think of. So this is everything I told you Galen was. I didn't even have access. I've never even read this. This is everything I told you Galen is, and everything everyone's been lying and claiming Galen is not. Galen he was just a thief. He was a liar from the beginning. He was cheating, and yet they told Spider, and they created this narrative that because I was using memory editors, they were allowed to rob a child, and they were allowed to like hack Mandy, and they were allowed to like snoop through my stuff and steal my developer files. Do you see the excuse now? Do you see, like, if you go back to Spider's page of stuff, you'll see it. Just go look it up. The excuse they gave for robbing me all the time and stealing my art and my levels and my NPCs and graphics and stuff and hacking my computer, the excuse they gave was that I was using memory editors. But Galen was allowed to. This was fucking captured in December of 1999. So this had been going on well into a long time. I told you, Galen and PACHUKA were fucking doing this stuff, and Galen's like, I never cheated, I was an official employee, I was being paid, and I had no idea PACHUKA was doing those things, and blah, blah, blah. Like, no, Galen was another fucking child predator from the beginning. I'm telling you guys, he is. And he was playing with memory editors, he was sitting there with PACHUKA in the fucking IRC as they were, like, sending out pornography, and threats, and threatening to rape kids and stuff. Galen was sitting right there next to him. Galen was fucking using memory editors and cheating all the fucking time. He was creating his own illegal editors, which means trainers and stuff. He was creating illegal hacking software. He was net busting into Mandy's computer and stealing files. He was using his power to steal levels and graphics, to get people to make levels and graphics for him. This goes right back to his post where Unixmad told him to fucking do it. Unixmad said, "I'll give you server access if you can get people to make stuff. I want to steal it and take it for myself." Galen had been doing that. I told you from the beginning. Haven't I told you guys this for the last 10 years? Since 2016, I told you guys. I said I just woke up and I just like opened my eyes with critical like thinking as an adult, and I stopped believing the narrative, and I just like thought about everything for weeks. And I just remember thinking, like, what if everything I believed was true, was a lie? And I rethought everything, and I came to this conclusion. This is the same thing I've been telling you guys for a decade that they've been lying about. Galen was a fucking just hacker. He was stealing shit. He was coding his own editor. He was never an employee. And Unixmad gave him server access to rob people. And Galen had set out to rob me. And this is like, Spider was hacking my stuff all the time, and Galen would never say anything about it. And they would always Galen even posted it on his fucking website. Where was this? Hold on. Just to show you guys that this was all fucking orchestrated. It was plotted out. Let's see here. So this was also posted on graalonline.com. So here we have Galen posting a hit out for me. They post hits out on me, and they started hacking my websites and taking them down. And it's because Galen wanted to steal my place is what it was. I was running websites. So before I joined Graal, like, I was actually like running websites before Graal. And then like when I joined Graal, I was like, well, I'm doing web design. I'm going to start like, making games and stuff because this is like a game engine also. And so, like, Galen wanted me out of the picture, and he wanted Spider to hack my stuff, and they were going to, like, either take everything or get rid of me. So here we go. Galen's talking about how he died by the Doom Sword, and everybody must destroy me. I must live in fear. For any time I'm on, he'll hunt me down like the dog he is. And by the way, and this is like a dog whistle for everybody else to do it to me. And this is around the time I started getting hacked by everybody, including Spider and stuff. I started getting hacked by everybody at this time. And my Ontago Gravity fucking site started getting hacked and removed, which is because Ontago Gravity, we were actual developers, and Galen wanted to run a fake gallery site where he stole files so he could fucking steal the title of Game Master. This is where it all goes down, dude. Everything just makes sense now. And so here we go. Him and PACHUKA are talking about how I'm a cheater and they need to remove me, and that's why everyone's hacking and deleting Ontago Gravity. That's why everyone's like fucking hating me. And Spider is posting stuff on his site about how I cheated, and Spider was cheating all the time. Everybody was cheating all the time, and they weren't being hacked. Galen, like I said, Galen and PACHUKA, even in PACHUKA's goodbye letter, he said he was cheating. his greatest cheat work ever, the Black Graal. And this was like all over. Like he all up and down his message, he said he had cheated over and over and over again. And yet for some reason they were posting and telling people to destroy me. And I'm telling you, it's because I had started on Toggle Gravity and had begun making levels and uniting game developers. And Galen wanted to stop me from ever having credit. So they wanted to steal all my stuff and get rid of me. Why was Spider and everybody and all the admins trying to smear my fucking name and calling me a fucking memory editor? But then Galen and PACHUKA are also fucking saying, oh yeah, by the way, they were too. And so was Spider and everybody else who was hacking me because I was a memory because I had a Doom sword. But everybody else did. And Galen didn't just have he wasn't just memory editing. He was creating fucking illegal trainer software. He was creating fucking hacking software to go with it. He was stealing levels and graphics from people without paying for them and manipulating people to get stuff out of them, which Unixmad had put him up to. We just read the message in September March of 1999. Where the fuck is that? Right here. In March of 1999. What I need now is a group of players to help him do levels and a real story. And that never fucking happened. And so like Galen started just like he started taking other people's stuff and taking credit for it. And then we have him saying he's using his media ability to his advantage, which means he's using graal.goth.net to smear other people and to elevate himself without doing anything. And anything else he can think of. Isn't that fucking interesting? So fucking anyways, there's that fucking bullshit. And, oh yeah, just like I had said before, at some point, they stopped giving out guild codes. And they started like selectively giving out to whoever they wanted. They had conspired to start smearing people. Like this, there must have been a switch that went off in Galen's head, which was like, if he doesn't erase everybody else's like who's competition, because Galen never was a game master. So anybody who was, Galen wanted to get rid of them if they were anywhere near close to him, because he wanted to carry the title of game master without doing anything. He wanted to steal other people's stuff. He wanted to take credit for it. And he wanted to wear that title because he wanted to put it on his fucking resume so he never had to do any work. Galen just sat back and like, he would find other people's stuff and he would like shove it in on Unixmad server, and then they would lie and like take credit for it and call themselves game masters and game developers. And then to this day, Galen is putting that on his fucking resume. The racket that Unixmad had told him to do. He's apologizing, but he's still doing it and still putting it on his fucking resume. So how interesting is that? At some point, they stopped giving out registration codes. That must have been around the time where they decided that Galen, in order to maintain a high title of superiority, he needed to, they needed to start limiting guild tags to people, because they wanted to construct an atmosphere where they were the most prestigious without doing anything, even though Galen admits he's cheating and hacking people at this time. And we know he is. We have private conversations of him. He chased Mandy away. He net busted into her fucking computer, which is illegal. Over and over and over again, doing illegal shit, lying, and then calling himself the game master, a game master, which he never was. So here's Fweetad, who's helping him with some Java applet, and then they ended up promoting him into server fucking position. I'm running low on battery, so I'm going to have to cut this short. I don't know if there's much else. One thing I did want to touch on, which is this, right here. PACHUKA had said that Unixmad wasn't even there from the beginning. Do you see this? Then Unixmad showed up. Graal was getting closer to a date where there would be a registered version. Therefore, money was involved. Therefore, Unixmad showed up. He says, Unixmad is a homosexual child porn fanatic from France. So Unixmad was not there from the beginning. You guys think he was not. He was just helping with things here and there. Like server stuff. He showed up one day. And Graal this was around the time I showed up. So Unixmad basically around the time I showed up. I'm sure that Stephane had known him. Stephane might be a child predator. I don't well, we know he's a child predator, but he might actually be a pedophile too. But anyways, that might be how they met. Is Unixmad is a homosexual child porn fanatic from France, and PACHUKA said that this is because Unixmad tried to hit on him, and he also had child porn on his personal FTP one time. Unixmad wanted to make a structure to the game, so he started picking people for the Graal staff. A few weeks later, the Graal staff was hired, and he was the level maintainer. GraalOnline.com was born. And they weren't hired. They were just recruited, by the way. You can see right here, it wasn't making money. So they said, therefore, money was involved. By the way, go look at the Graal archives, and you can see it wasn't for sale in 2001. Even on the Wikipedia, it says it wasn't for sale in 2001. What happened was they had a gold version, and they sold maybe a few copies, so at most, they made like $75. You can't hire and live off of $75. You can spend $75 in 3 days. You can't hire a whole staff of people. So when he says hired, he just means recruited. They were not being paid. They were never being paid. So don't ever, like this lie that Galen is saying that hired means paid. They were not being paid. Unixmad saw money and he wanted to make money, and they couldn't sell it until Graal 2001, until they stole my stuff. So